Alright, so 6.2, we're going to be multiplying and subtracting radicals. Not subtracting, this should say multiplying and dividing. Multiplying and dividing. So in order to multiply or divide numbers with exponents or numbers with radicals, we need that exponent or radical to be the same thing. So we wouldn't be able to multiply the square root of 2 times the cubed root of 3. We can't do this because we need whatever our index is to be the same, or whatever our exponent is to be the same. So it has to be the same. So if we had the square root of 2 times the square root of 3, this would be the square root of 2 times 3, so we can combine them to 1. 2 times 3 would be 6, so it would be the square root of 6. So you can put them under the same radical and just multiply the numbers together. But it has to be the same type of radical. So for A, can we multiply these two together? No, because our radicals are not the same. So this would just be our answer. This is as simplified as it can be. Can't do anything else. Well, we could break up the 6 into what? What are two factors of 6? 3 and 2. Do we have any pairs of 3 that we could circle? Nope. So the cubed root of 6 is as simplified as it can be. All right, for B, can we combine these together?
Yes.
Yes. So it's going to be the cubed root of negative 4 times 2. What's negative 4 times 2? Negative 8. What are factors of 8? 4 and 2. And factors of 4? 2 and 2. We have to circle groups of how many here?
3.
Groups of 3. So how many 2's do we have?
3.
We have 3 2's. So what comes out? 1, 2 comes out. And then we started with a negative on the inside. So what do we do with that negative? We only make it an I if our index is even. But here index is odd, so what should we do with it? Just put it in our answer. So negative 2 is our answer. There's only 2 questions on this page, right? Yep. So next one. Alright, so when we're multiplying, we can just combine them under the same radical and multiply together. When dividing, we can do the same thing. Just divide them under the same radical. So we keep whatever our radical is the same and just divide the numbers. So we merge it into one radical, but we can only do that if we have the same index. So here we have square root and square root, so they're the same. Cubed root and cubed root, they're the same, so we can combine them. You can only combine them if they are the same. So for the next one, do we have the same radical? We have a square root and square root, right? So they're the same, so we can combine them. So we're just going to put them all under one radical. So we have 72. I'm going to put all my numbers first, then put all my x's, then put all my y's, so I keep everything in order. So 72 times 10 times x cubed times x times y squared times y cubed. Now I want to break everything down as much as I can. I could multiply 72 times 10, but then I'm just going to ask myself, what are factors of 720? Which would be 72 and 10. So I don't even have to multiply, I can just go ahead and break it down. and break it down. So what are two factors of 72? 8 and 9. What are factors of 8? 4 and 2. And factors of 9? 3 and 3. And factors of 4? 2 and 2. And then we also have this 10 here, so what are factors of 10? 5 and 2. Can we break this down anymore? Nope, so just 5 and 2. I'm just going to drop these down so everything's in line here. So I'm circling groups of how many?
2.
Groups of 2. So I have 2 2s, 2 2s here, and then 2 3s. So what comes outside?
5.
No, what comes outside?
2.
2 2s. So every circle comes outside. 2 2s and 1 3. Everything that I didn't circle stays on the inside. So what's going to stay on the inside?
5.
The 5 stays on the inside. Now I'm not done yet because I still have all these x's and y's. So x cubed tells me I have how many x's here? 3. But then I also have this other x. I'm going to change the color so you can see it a little bit better. So 3 x's here. And then I have this other x here. So how many x's do I have in total? 4. And I'm circling groups of how many? Groups of 2. So how many x's come to the outside? 2. And then I can move on to my y's. I have how many y's here? 2. And then how many y's here? 3. So how many y's in total do I have? 5. And I'm circling groups of how many?
2.
Groups of 2. So I have 2 y's, and then 1. So how many y's come to the outside? 2. How many y's stay on the inside? 1. Now I just want to multiply everything together to make this a little bit prettier. So I can multiply my numbers together. What's 2 times 2 times 3? What's 2 times 2? 4. And then what's 4 times 3? 12. So 12. And then if I have x times x, what do I call that? X to the power of 2. And then if I have y times y, how would I write that? Y to the power of 2. And then on the inside, all I have is a 5 and a y. I just multiply them together as 5y and leave it like that. So this is my answer. Alright, so the next two we're dividing. Since it's the same radical, a square root and a square root, we can combine them under the same square root. So I'm going to have 18x to the 5th power on top and 2x to the 3rd power on the bottom. So I just put them together. Now I just want to look at my numbers first. So 18 over 2. What's 18 divided by 2? 9. So I'm going to leave that 9 on top. And then looking at my x's, here I have, I'm going to rewrite it down here. How many x's on top? 5 x's on top. And how many x's on the bottom? 3 x's on the bottom. So if I have an x on top and an x on the bottom, they're going to cancel out. So I have these x's cancel, these x's cancel, and these x's cancel. So how many x's am I left with? 2. On the top or on the bottom? On the top. 2 x's on the top. So that would be x squared. Or you can just leave it as x times x, because we're not done yet. 18 divided by 2 is where we got the 9. So 18 divided by 2 turned into 9. And then this turned into x squared. Not yet. Let's see if we can simplify this some more. So we have the square root of 9 times x squared. What are factors of 9? 3 and 3. We're circling groups of how many here? Groups of 2. So what comes outside? A 3. And then how many x's do we have here? 2 x's, x times x. And we circle groups of how many? Groups of 2. So we circle both of our x's. What comes to the outside? Another x, so 3x is our answer. Do we have anything on the inside that we didn't circle? Nope, so nothing stays on the inside, so it's just 3x. Alright, let's look at B. Do we have the same radical here? Yeah, we have a cubed root and a cubed root. It has that same index here, same. So we can combine them under the same radical. So we have the cubed root of 162y to the 5th power over 3y squared. Now we want to take it one step at a time. Let's look at our numbers first. What is 162 divided by 3? $54? Seems right. Yeah, 54. And then let's look at our y's. So we have how many y's on top? 5 y's on top. And how many y's on the bottom? 2. So 2 of the y's on the bottom are going to cancel out with 2 of the y's on top. How many y's are we left with on top? 3. We have 3 here. So this would be y cubed, or we could say y times y times y, because we're going to break it down anyways. So let's break it down. Everybody's with me so far. You see how we got that? Alright, now we simplify. So this step is like 6.1. That's what we had on the quiz. What are factors of 54? $27 and 2. Or also 9 and 6 would have worked too. What are factors of 27? 3 and 9. And then factors of 9? 3 and 3. Can we break down anything else? Nope. We're circling groups of how many here? Groups of 3. So we circle 3 3s. So what comes to the outside? The 3. Whatever you circled comes on the outside. What stays on the inside? The 2. So we still have that cubed root of 2. And then we have how many y's here? 3 y's. And we circle groups of how many? Groups of 3. So what do we do with the y's? What happens? It goes on the outside. 1y goes to the outside. So this is our answer. So since our radical to start was the cubed root here, it stays the cubed root. So whatever your radical is to start out in the question, that stays as your answer if you still have something underneath it. If you get rid of everything from underneath, then you don't have anything. Alright. Let's look at this one. So what is the simplest form of the cubed root of 5x squared over 12y squared times z? So looking at this, just taking one step at a time. So looking at our numbers, can we simplify 5 over 12? Nope. What about our x's? We just have x squared on the top. Do we have any x's on the bottom? Nope. What about our y's? Nope, can't simplify that either. Or our z's? Nope. So what do you think our simplest form could be? What can we do? Nothing. So this is the simplest form. We can't simplify anything, so that's it. Can't do anything. Alright, last question. Do we have the same radicals here? Square root and square root? Yep, they're the same. So we can combine everything together under one radical. So we have 20ab on top and 45a squared times b cubed on the bottom. So just looking at our numbers, we have 20 over 45. So it's not going to simplify it to a whole number, but we can simplify it. What number goes into both 20 and 45? 5. So we can divide these both by 5. So divide by 5, divide by 5. What's 20 divided by 5? 4. And then what's 45 divided by 5? 9. Because we wanted to simplify. And 5 goes into both 20 and 45. Can we simplify 4 over 9? Can we do anything else with that? No. Alright, let's look at our a's. So we have one a on top, and how many a's on the bottom? 2. So what cancels? So we're left with how many? 1 on the top or on the bottom? On the bottom. And now let's look at our b's. So we have how many on the top?
1.
And how many on the bottom? 3 on the bottom. So 1 on the top cancels with 1 on the bottom. How many are we left with?
1.
On the top or on the bottom?
1.
2 on the bottom. So now let's see what else we can do. We still have a fraction here, so it would help if we break it back up into 2 radicals. So we're taking the square root of 4 and the square root of 9ab squared. So I broke it back up into 2. What is the square root of 4? Let's see. What are our factors of 4? 2 times 2. We circle groups of how many? Groups of 2. So what comes to the outside? 2. So the square root of 4 is 2. So that's on top. Let's do the same thing for the bottom. What are our factors of 9? 3 and 3. We're circling groups of how many here? Groups of 2. So what comes to the outside? A 3. And then how many a's do we have?
1.
1. So do we have any a's that we can circle?
No.
Nope. So what do we do with that a?
It goes inside.
Stays on the inside. And then how many b's do we have?
2.
2 b's. Can we circle our b's? Yep, because we have a pair of b's. What do we do with the b? Put it on the bottom, inside or outside? Outside, because we circled it, so it goes to the outside. So this is our final answer.